All right, so we're back with some more with factoring. So factoring is a relatively big topic, which is why we're spending a little bit of time on it today. Well, a lot of time on it today, and it'll pop up as the semester goes on. So we only got two more problems to take a look at, but I wanted to break up the last two problems because they're a little different than the first ones that we did. So let's take a look at problem number 9, and then this problem number 10. So number 9 had a greatest common factor that I was able to pull out. So that greatest common factor was the number 2. If I look at number 10, they do not share a number or a variable in common. These two have x's, but this one doesn't have an x, and they don't share a number. So I can't pull out a greatest common factor. On the inside of our foldable, if I look at these, notice all of these were 1x squared. 1y squared, 1n squared, 1a squared. They only had a leading coefficient of 1. Number 10 is different because the first number in that problem is the number 2. So I'm going to have to do a different approach for this one. I'm not looking for two numbers that multiply to give me -5 and add to give me -9. So again, since I have a different coefficient in here, I am not looking for a number that multiplies to give me -5, adds to give me -9, because it's not going to work out that way. So instead, I'm going to show you, it's 4 steps that'll get you right to the answer. That way you don't have to guess and check and play around with your parentheses. So I've already listed out the steps for us. Step 1, we're going to multiply the first and last number. Step 2, we're going to factor like normal, like as in with the 2 sets of parentheses, multiplies to give you the last and adds to give you the number in the middle. Step 3, we're going to divide by the first number in the problem. And then step 4, we're going to get rid of fractions. So these 4 steps, you only use these 4 steps when we have a different coefficient right here. So I'm going to underline this because that's giving us a clue that A, I don't have a greatest common factor, and B, I need to go through and do these 4 steps. So here we go. Step 1 says multiply the first and the last number. So I'm going to do my steps over here. I'll multiply the first and last number. 2 times -5 is -10. So kind of like pretend to get rid of this 2. Bring over x squared minus 9x minus 10. So step 1 says multiply the first and the last number. So I'm doing my steps over here. I did 2 times -5 and brought everything else over. Now we're on step 2. It says factor like normal. So when I say factor like normal, that means we're going to set up our parentheses. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to give me -10, add to give me -9. Multiplies to give us -10, adds to give us -9. So those numbers are x minus 10 and x plus 1. So that is step 2. Step 3 says divide by the first number in the problem. So the first number in our problem, make sure it's in order, biggest exponent to the smallest. So the first number in this problem is 2. So I'm going to divide by 2, divide by 2. So step 3, reduce it if you can. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And 1 divided by 2 stays a fraction, but that's okay. Step 4 says get rid of fractions. So when you're factoring, you don't have fractions. So if I ask you to factor 12, you wouldn't say the factors are 12 are 3/4 and 1/2. That just wouldn't make sense. So we can't have a fraction. So to get rid of fractions, you multiply by the denominator. So I'm going to multiply just this. Okay. So my denominator is 2. I'm going to multiply this whole thing. Oh, my pencil broke. I multiply this whole thing by the number 2. So my final answer, step 4, x minus 5 stays x minus 5. 2 times x is 2x. And 2 times 1/2. And I lost my smart board there. Let's see if we can get it back. Technology. Here we go. So my computer was updating in the middle. 2 times x is 2x, and 2 times 1/2 is 1. So this is our final answer. And the great thing with this is you can do box method or distributive property, and you can multiply this out. So if I do the box method or distributive property, multiply this out, it'll give me 2x squared minus 9x minus 5. You only have to worry about doing this if I have a different coefficient in the front and there's no greatest common factor. Otherwise, you would factor like normal, meaning you're looking for two numbers that multiply to give you the last number and adds to give you the number in the middle. All right, we have reached the end of our foldable. So hopefully you got some, you got your title and stuff written down. You got lots of examples and things on the inside, and we're on the very last problem, problem 11. So we're going to check for a greatest common factor. 3, 10, and 8 do not share a number, so there's no greatest common factor, and they don't share a variable. And I got a different number in the front besides the number 1. So that means I need to go through and do these 4 steps that are listed over here. So step number 1 says multiply the first and the last number. 3 times negative 8 is negative 24. I'm going to bring down the x squared, bring down the 10x, and it's going to give me negative 24. So that's step 1, because step 1 says to multiply the first and the last number. So we brought everything else down. Step 2 says factor like normal. So normal, when I say that, means we do our thing. We're looking for two numbers that multiply to give me negative 24, adds to give me positive 10. Multiplies to give me negative 24, adds to give us positive 10. So those numbers are 12 and negative 2. Step 3, divide by the first number in the problem. So our first number in this problem is the number 3. So we're going to divide our numbers by 3. Reduce, as always, reduce. So 12 divided by 3 is 4. 2 divided by 3 stays 2/3. And we got one last step when we're factoring. Step 4 says get rid of fractions, so we can't have this fraction here. So we are going to multiply just the part that has the fraction by 3. So we're going to multiply just this part by 3 because that's the only part that has the fraction. So our final answer is x plus 4. 3 times x is 3x. And 3 times negative 2/3 is negative 2. So this is our final answer. So I know that we did a lot of problems with factoring. Your paper should be filled front, back, top, bottom, everything. But please hold on to this. It's got lots of good examples. We got our steps for when we have a different coefficient, if it's like ax squared. We have greatest common factor on the inside, distributive property, and things like that. So this is going to be an excellent tool for you to hold on to and use as we factor throughout the semester.